Welcome to the Cole Squared Podcast. My name is Cole.
And I'm Cole.
And today we're going to be talking about...
The Dirties!
Which is a movie that sucked.
What do you mean? You didn't like The Dirties?
Why do we always review bad movies?
Because people like pain, and we give them pain.
That's true, because we're in pain watching these things.
Alright, forewarning, before we get fully on with the show, we are both a little sick sounding, so sorry about that. We're slightly strapped for time, so it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode.
That is correct.
We're probably around 30 minutes, and because it is a short episode, we have one movie to talk about and perhaps a subject at the end, which is really important to the both of us.
So I would like to start off this conversation by saying, me and Cole have things that we like. To get off the fact that we always talk about bad movies, I love the Lego Movie, so I'm not just a hater because I'm a hater.
Well, no, that's incorrect, because we've talked about movies we like. We liked Gladiator, and we liked Over the Garden Wall. We just...
One of us liked John Dies at the end.
Look, alright. It's called having good taste.
And you don't. The Dirties is a movie about these guys who are gonna make a movie about school shootings on this group of bullies at their school called the Dirties. And what happens is one of them is actually a psychopath. And so he thinks, because their movie gets rejected by the local student and teacher population. So this one guy thinks, hey, a great idea is instead of fake killing them, let's just actually kill them. And the other guy doesn't really get that he's serious until the very end when he starts killing people.
They make a movie for a school project, and it's a lot of swearing, and it's about there are these two kids that are bullied throughout all of high school because they're sort of the guys you really don't want to talk to because they think they're high and mighty. Well, one does. One's sort of a bad influence on the other, really. Mm-hmm. So they make this movie where it's them going and killing the bullies of the school, but they're not actually doing it. That's the first part of the movie. And then the guy who's a bad influence decides, hey, the teacher didn't like our movie, so what if we actually do it? And then his friend is like, haha, yeah, that'll teach him. But his friend thought it was a joke, and then that guy goes and he actually does it. Now, The Dirties is a Canadian film made in 2013. It's a found footage film, but not really. We'll get to that. It's classified as a comedy drama.
What? Is that what you said? I'm gonna hate?
No. There's even more, but it's classified as a comedy drama.
The only joke in this movie is at one point they say, "Man, a storm's coming," and this one really nerdy guy who all he's done in this movie is flick off the main character says, "Man, I hope it doesn't blow you like your mom blew me last night." It's the most worthless scene I've seen in any movie, and it's the only character that I like.
My favorite thing about this is, from a writer's standpoint, you know the Chekhov's gun thing, right? Mm-hmm. If you show a gun in the first chapter, it has to be fired, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing in The Dirties follows that rule. Yeah. Stuff just happens, or it doesn't. Sometimes they mention something, sometimes it never comes in again. But let's keep going. It was directed by Matt Johnson, who is the main character, also written by Matt Johnson.
The character's name, in fact, is Matt Johnson. Mm-hmm. So they got really lazy.
Now, we're disagreeing with a lot of people.
What?
We're disagreeing with a lot of people.
Do people think this is good?
This film was praised by critics and has received a lot of awards.
What's its Rotten Tomatoes score?
68.
Ew, God, that's almost passing.
Yeah.
What? Mm-hmm. Oh my lord.
Now, at the Slam Dance Film Festival in 2013, it won the Grand Jury Prize for Best Narrative.
Excuse me? Mm-hmm. Are you going to keep going because I have something to say?
The Toronto Star, which is, of course, a Toronto-based newspaper and or magazine. I'm getting this all from Wikipedia. Okay. Calls The Dirties a fresh, compelling take on bullying. The Globe and Mail called it a bravura debut for an up-and-coming Canadian filmmaker. And yeah, so there it goes. It has... Oh, wait, sorry. It has a 79 on Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 68 on Metacritic.
It's times like this.
It was a finalist for Best Canadian Film at the Toronto Critics Association's award in 2013.
I I feel like sometimes critics are bad.
Well, we're critics. By doing
Yeah.
this show, we've become critics.
No, what I mean is like
I mean other critics
I mean
are
other
bad.
critics are bad. No, we could be bad as well. We're probably bad. But I feel like most of them are attracted to controversy and they don't know how to handle it. Like how Sausage Party was widely praised.
Was it?
Sausage Party has like an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that's because people are stupid.
So critics are people. People are stupid. Critics are stupid.
Critics aren't people.
Oh, that's true.
They serve us, the masses.
I've
We're
seen
critics.
Ratatouille.
I mean, yeah, there's a big disconnect. For example, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, you know, the big use of CGI. At the time, that was a very fresh usage of all of it. Critics really loved the film, under the point that it was something new and fresh, something they hadn't seen in, like, forever. Well, yes, forever, back in the 70s when they had the good CGI. The disconnect between the critics and the audience was a lot of people didn't like Episode 1. It's based on what critics think is sort of outside of the box, because you're more likely to say something that is different is better or more interesting than perhaps a very good version of a narrative you've seen a million times.
Yeah. Also with that, there is like the trope like on how like the majority of Oscar-winning movies are dramatic, real stories that somehow have to do with either the theater business or the Holocaust or both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Like it was something like how 9 of the last 12 Oscar best films were based on a true story. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's not even about the movie anymore. I had nothing to say.
It becomes about the world around it rather than what the movie becomes. But I believe it's important that when we look at like art and stuff, we're looking at it in the spectrum of the world it's in. So I think it's very fair to judge it based on how things are happening. But the Dirties isn't that.
It's not.
It's not. Could I say something controversial about like school shootings?
Go for it, bro.
Okay, so the
Can we,
Dirties.
can we cut the fact that I just said bro, by the way?
No.
Dang it.
It's bro time. But the Dirties makes it seem like this is caused by bullying, when a majority of school shootings are not caused by someone who was viciously harassed. And the problem that the Dirties sets up is it makes kids who seem like loners, or kids who are maybe cocky about themselves, it makes them seem much more dangerous than they are, and builds stigma towards them that gets them more bullied. So that's one reason why I don't like the Dirties. You're free to disagree with me on that, but yeah.
Who, me? I feel that way totally. Like, I know someone, like, specifically who's they're just a loner. They just like to be by themselves all the time. They don't really like attention and stuff like that. And I feel like before works are created that stigmatize that kind of stuff, like, oh, that person just likes being lonely. Whereas it's like, before people would say, oh, you have ADHD, people would just be like, hey, you need to chill out. You know what I mean? So it becomes like something becomes an issue when it wasn't an issue before.
Yeah, precisely. And yeah, so that's just a big false narrative that the Dirties really plays up. Now, I appreciate the narrative of the Dirties. I really do. I think that if you were to take out the school shooting theme, which is why the movie's bad, it's a story about someone who is not willing to better themselves and wants the world to change for them, versus somebody who is willing to try and better themselves.
And those are your two main characters are the foils of each other? Is
I
that what-
suppose so, yeah.
It's like, essentially, in case we didn't mention this earlier, the main character is... The two main characters are best friends. One of them is psychopathically not sane, and the other one is just kind of awkward, and so... I believe in... This is Criminal Minds. In Criminal Minds, they would call the insane guy, the main character, the alpha, whereas the other guy would be the beta, to where he doesn't really know what to do with himself, so he just sort of follows along what the main character tells him to do. Like how in one scene where the beta guy has this really cute girl who likes him, and he's like in love with her, and he's trying to win her, and so he comes up with this idea, hey, I'm going to play the guitar for her, and then the other guy doesn't like that idea for some reason, And so he says, no, bring her a cake and say you stole it. And he says, no, I want to do my idea. And then, like, he goes and asks somebody for help, and they say, yeah, the cake idea is stupid, play the guitar. And then it cuts to the next scene to where he's making the cake.
I'd like to put this forth in the Dirties, is you see how the main character, the one who will not better himself, the one who shoots up the school, is so unwilling to help himself be a better person that his entire life becomes about making his friend a better person.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. How desperate he is to help him with his girl. And stuff like that.
But he uses him helping his friend as something to dangle over him, to keep him his friend, because he knows that his friend's going to leave him, which eventually does happen at the end.
Yeah, and it is stated where he's, the friend says, why are you being mean to me? I'm your only friend, and I'm the only one who's going to like you, and you do that to yourself. I like that guy. I like the friend guy.
So, when I say The Dirties is a bad movie, I don't think it's a movie without substance.
Unlike Sausage Party, which is a nothing
Sausage
movie
Party.
with penises in it.
Or When Blackbirds Fly, which is trying to be edgy for edgy's sake, I guess. Because The Dirties, at its heart, it really has a very nice narrative. Not nice. That's a terrible word to use. But it has a very well done narrative.
Compelling.
A compelling narrative. But their choice of subject matter and their very vulgar use of humor, especially by the main characters, just sort of makes it a movie you don't want to watch. If you want a movie that's sort of... Because it lists it as a comedy drama, but I would not say... I didn't laugh at any of the jokes. I laughed at one of the jokes, which was the nerdy kid on the stairs, just for how awkward that was.
It's like that... Just to say something on that. That's how I felt about the entirety of Finding Dory, or this one scene in The Wild, which is basically a Madagascar ripoff, in which case a snake falls on a garbage truck, and the garbage man stops the truck, gets out, and screams, "The garbage is alive," and runs away. There's some stuff that's funny just because it's really weird, and that's how I feel about that joke.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last time in our types of humor, and how I'm absurdist, you're sort of weird. But this is, again, Sausage Party, Family Guy type of humor. Because the drama in this, it's not bad. It's subpar. Like, it's par. I wouldn't say subpar. It's par.
It does have the dynamic between the two main characters I thought was really compelling.
Yeah, they did very well on that. Meanwhile, where were we? The humor doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Because, like, one of the big laugh ha-has was the fact that, well, one, in their movie where they're fake shooting the school, they break open the door and say, "Hands up, cocksucking motherfuckers," and like, yeah, haha, he said 2 swear words in one sentence, and that made me rollin'.
That's him quoting a movie.
I know.
Yeah.
That's another problem with the Dirties is, I just had a realization.
What?
The entire movie is film critic and nostalgia bait.
That's why.
There we go.
There we go. That gave it, what would you say, like 20 points on...
Totally. The entire movie is laced with references to other movies. Why did I not put this connection together before?
See, that was affirmed for me on how the end credit sequence is all just a massive cavalcade of different movies' tropes, I would say.
Well, before the credits start, it shows the name The Dirties in the iconic logos of Back to the Future, The Goonies, and Star Wars. 3 things that almost everybody has seen and most people will recognize. Yeah, that was film critic bait.
Yeah.
And then they go through the whole ending scene, and every different name, like title, because Matthew Johnson, was it Matthew Johnson?
Yeah.
Matthew Johnson has, like, his name in there 3 different times, and it's different each time.
Yeah.
But each time it's a reference to a different movie. For one portion, they did straight up a rip from the credits of Doctor Strangelove and How I Learned to Love, Stop Worrying and Love the Atomic Bomb.
One was from Airplane. One was from Casablanca.
It was just, yeah, man. big realization here on the Cole Squared podcast.
We're making history right now, Zooey Mama.
And you can find more of these realizations at the Cole Squared Twitter, which is what again?
At the Cole Squared.
Wow. All right. So, anything else you want to say on the Dirties?
About the Dirties, I feel like do better, get good, and then I'll like it. But
Eat shit.
yeah, eat shit, Matthew Johnson.
Yeah, fuck you. Actually, he has made another movie, which I suppose because we have told him to eat shit, we're gonna have to go back and watch his other movie.
Why?
Because it's our duty now. We're tied to every film creator that we review. Seth Rogen is our personal friend now.
I'd like to say that Seth Rogen is in Kung Fu Panda, my favorite movie as of 4 days ago. Just kidding. But
is Seth Rogen in Kung Fu Panda?
He plays Mantis.
He plays Mantis.
Seth Rogen is Mantis, and
I
I
don't
like him.
Kung Fu Panda anymore.
No, I like him there, which means I know that I'm not biased on Sausage Party being shit.
I didn't go into it hating it because I hate Seth Rogen, because I love Kung Fu Panda.
Because I love Kung Fu Panda.
Well, no, there's a difference there, because Kung Fu Panda was not written by Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen got that script and he was like, yeah, I'll take that paycheck.
Yeah. I'll say those 4 lines.
Yeah, exactly. But Sausage Party was entirely written by Seth Rogen. Welcome to Cole Squared, where we don't drop Sausage Party ever.
Thank God. I hate that movie.
That was a bad time.
Yeah, it's like watching the Dirties, at least I didn't hate myself.
Oh, my favorite part about the Dirties, I have to say, I had seen it beforehand because one of my favorite movie critics online, Your Movie Sucks, spoke very favorably and made it one of his movies of the year. So I went and I watched it. So I already knew what was happening and like all the sort of little nuances with characters. My favorite part was sitting right next to Cole and watching him just get pissed off the whole time. It was such a good time. I kept not saying anything to him because I didn't want him to feel better, just so I could have more of a laugh.
Listen, I think I mentioned specifically at some point, this movie isn't entertaining me, it's just severely pissing me off.
Yeah, and I was just like, yes, this is so funny.
Oh my God.
I was just I just saw your face, like, if you had smoke coming out of your ears, that's what you looked like. And I was just enjoying that.
I would like to mention, though, there is one scene where they go to a gun range, and I think you mentioned all they did was film themselves playing at a gun range and throw it in the movie.
I think that's what happens, because right before they go to the gun range, which is like to train with guns, he says, I have to go to my cottage for 3 days. And then his friend's like, no, you can't leave me for 3 days, dude. And then he's like, his friend says, wait, which uncle are you going with? Is it the tall one with the sunglasses? Then they cut to them being at the shooting range, and it was like, that was totally because the special effects guy they hired at the shooting range just happened to have sunglasses on when they were filming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anything else to say about the Dirties?
Not really.
Yeah, all I have to say is, you had a good concept, get good.
I think it's a good narrative put into a bad topic.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the 2 main characters, would be great in like a Shakespeare. You know what I mean?
They really played off each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's critic bait, and yeah, that's the Dirties.
All right.
That's the Dirties.
What would you give it out of 14 sausage parties?
That gets 14 sausage parties out of 14 sausage parties.
So you know we're not biased. Now, what would you give it out of 10 actual movies?
10 actual... The Dirties isn't a real movie. Oh, wait. We didn't talk about that it's not actually found footage.
Oh, yeah, so...
There's just a random guy recording them the whole time.
We
That's
forgot
not the
to mention
story.
Jared!
Jared!
Okay, listen. Jared is the most screwed up character I've ever seen in my entire life. So Jared follows around the main character his entire life. Jared never goes home. And I know his name is Jared, not because we called him Jared because we're idiots, but because he's a named character named Jared. And so he basically follows the main character and does whatever he wants and films him doing whatever. But it gets to the point to where there's some times where the main character's having a conversation with Jared while Jared's like outside filming within.
Yeah, he was either in the closet of the main character or he was looking through the window of the main character's house. But either way, he was not involved in the scene, but he was filming the scene. So
And there was another one where the entire scene exists so that the main character can give exposition to Jared, and Jared's outside filming him through a window like it's The Office, and he's taking a phone call he's not supposed to have.
yeah, there's just like there's so many instances where they just go and they refer to like, "Hey Jared," and then Jared doesn't have a character other than stalking them around. So I guess, do we make another conclusion that the entire movie is Jared's work and not that guy's work?
I would like to say that because also when the main character is shooting, first of all, when the main character is shooting up the school, the second main character, his foil, he decides that's after he's decided he doesn't want to be friends with the main character anymore. So he's like running away because he's scared because his friend is shooting, killing people, and it shows him like actually kill two other students. And so the main character is running around the school with a gun. Everyone sees him, starts screaming, and runs away. And Jared is just following him, filming him doing everything.
The whole time.
The entire time. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Why doesn't he leave? Like, what's Jared's problem?
I don't like, because it's classified as found footage comedy drama, but when you're thinking of found footage film, you're thinking Blair Witch,
Or
you're
Chronicle.
thinking Cloverfield, you're thinking Chronicle, you're thinking Project Almanac, but you shouldn't be thinking Project Almanac. We're gonna watch Project Almanac when we have a time traveling themed episode.
Gross.
Yes.
Can we also watch Memento?
Yeah.
I would like to say, though, I just made another realization about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So halfway through the movie, the friend is talking to the main character, and he talks about how the main character lives his life as if he's an actor in a movie. And he talks about how he's always acting, and he's never himself, and he's always putting on a performance because he's not comfortable with who he actually is. The main character gets really pissed off at this, by the way, even though it's totally true. Jared lives his life as if he's a cameraman making a movie. And he's not a person.
I suppose he is. Is Jared a symbol?
Is
Jared,
that...
no. Jared's a symbol for the people who just watch and don't do anything about the kids getting bullied.
That's the message we
There
missed.
we go.
That's what every critic saw, and we didn't.
There we go. This is a really deep, telling movie about how bullying just affects our youth and makes them into Columbine.
This is a 79 out of 10 if I've ever seen one.
This gets an 8 out of 10, and also my dad's car keys. All right, I guess actual last words on the Dirties
On
now.
the Dirties.
So, for me, it is evidently a very good discussion piece, but a bad film. I give it a 5 out of 10 for being average, but worth thinking about. What do you give it, and why?
I give it 6 Jareds out of 7 Matt Johnsons, and here's why.
Is there any more?
I think we just talked about it for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Listen to what I had to say. I would like to say about it, it has a really good compelling... why would I give it 6 out of 7?
I don't know.
I'll give it like a 4 out of 7.
All right.
It has a good it has a good compelling dynamic between the two characters, but there's a lot of bait in it, which I relate all bait to me gets the same respect as Japanese panty anime.
Hentai.
Well, or just panty anime in general.
No, just hentai.
Okay, hentai. So that's the respect that I give this movie. It has a compelling thing, but it has a lot of bait in it, and it also tackles a subject that I don't feel like it tackled very well, which is school shootings. Which I feel like if you're going to do that, you have to do it really, really right.
I think in terms of being like episodes and like crime dramas, I think Criminal Minds has done it well. Mm-hmm. I think several like crime shows have done it well. I don't think there's been a good movie about it.
There hasn't.
I've watched 0 Day, which is basically a movie that is Columbine.
Oh, okay.
And that
is it specifically Columbine or just Columbine?
It's like
it's like it's Columbine.
It's like if it's trying to tell the story of Columbine and being as visceral as possible without saying, yeah, we're making a film, like a full footage version of Columbine. And it was okay. It's not worth it. Mm-hmm. And I think you really have to tackle the subject with care and you really have to fully understand the subject of what you're talking about, who you're talking about, and what sort of person you're trying to make the murderer look like.
Criminal Minds, I feel like, have they done just the one, or has it been multiple about school shootings?
I think it was just the one.
Yeah, the one episode they did, they handled it with extreme maturity, and it was to where, like, I felt like it was totally appropriate. I would also like to say, didn't that article say it was a pinnacle movie about bullying?
Yeah.
I've seen, not even counting the Bully documentary, which is fantastic, but I've seen other movies. It was something like The Girl You Know, or something like that. You can put it in the description after I Google it after this episode, because we're done with Googling during episodes. It was like That Girl You Know, or something like that. And it was a movie about this girl who gets bullied, and I felt like it was done really, really well.
Well, then you just have other stuff, because I know Zootopia. I think Zootopia is a better movie about bullying than it is about, like, prejudice. Which I suppose if we watch Zootopia, I'll talk about that.
I actually am really excited to see Zootopia.
Oh, I guess we're watching Zootopia.
The best movie about prejudice, The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah. That chef sure hates fish.
Oh yeah, that's the real prejudice of the movie. It's not the father having prejudice against humans. It's the chef and his hate for less poisons.
And
for our next segment, is the Cole Squared podcast art?
well, I just think. All right, that's a wrap.
There we go. Ah, that always hurts my